Happy New Year. Welcome back into the live show at Roosters. It is brought to you by Bryant Heating and Cooling Systems and powered by Tansky Power Sports. And Ohio State's season is over. Not the greatest way for 2025 to end, but we are on to the resolution phase and the rebuilding phase for the Buckeyes. That's Justin Zwick, Nicole Cox, Bobby Carpenter. I am Austin Ward. Jeremy Birmingham will be here later on, and I'm sure he's going to be in a fantastic mood. But 24-14 losing to Miami, none of us had that, Nicole. We were way off.
We were way off. Remember, Kim's score was 24-17, but it was obviously the Buckeyes winning. So she, just flipped those numbers a little bit. But our winners had a great time. And, I really, just to jump into it, I really feel the playoff schedule is just, even though I was trying to be really positive about the 25 days, once they got out there, it was like, that's a long break, long break.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, Bob, we talked about the way that, Ryan Day and Quinn Temple and Mickey Murray tried to structure it and some of the chippiness of practice towards the end. They wanted to avoid what happened in some ways. I'm not blaming the layoff. I think there's a lot of other things that we can talk about, but it didn't do them any favors. And practice fights and training camps and all that, that didn't work. And we saw their team struggle with that, but, that's just one issue out of many.
It is e pluribus unum.
That's it.
Of one of
many. Out of one many.
So you had the layoff, and then it metastasized into many different issues. So you look at that, talk about the layoff. So we'll go to that since Nicole brought that up, and start right there. Thank you. So you look at the only one team in the last 8 tries. Now it's a small sample size. They changed the seeding because I think the seeding was a big part of it last year. This year, I think Indiana was better than Alabama. I think Oregon was better than, or Texas Tech was better, or Oregon was better than Texas Tech. And I think Ole Miss was significantly, or not Ole Miss.
Yeah, Ole Miss over Georgia.
Ole Miss was in Georgia. I think we're pretty even. But that was a pretty even game. Georgia actually kind of jumped out, and they were kind of in control. The one I think that you look at, and Miami's talented, but that looked as if they started slow, was Ohio State. And obviously, they give up the touchdown early after getting stopped. Like, you felt pretty good. Like, they had stops, and I thought that they'd be able to get the offense rolling. And what's unfortunate, they got, after giving up the touchdown in first play, bam, max up. We're going to be aggressive. Take the shot. You're down there. Now, Julian saying underthrow it a little bit, left it a little inside. Maybe that probably should have just been a touchdown straight up. Unfortunately, it wasn't. Then you have the pick six, and it was a great job. I've tried to tell everybody, number 0, Keontae Smith?
Scott.
I was like, this guy's really good. And
you did warn us.
He's a playmaker. I was like, the guy makes a lot of plays. And very talented. Does a great job, kind of guesses and goes. Everybody was on JJ about, well, he didn't give an effort. I'm like, he's expecting him to go outside.
Yeah.
Like, the coaches always tell you this, playing defense. If you go back door, behind the block, you'd better get there. Because it's real enticing. It's like, oh, it looks like I'm going to get there, but then you never do, and they just run away from you. He went back, he backdoored it, made the play, and then that, changed the structure of the game a little bit. The thing is, after that, you probably could have got the ball and, ran it some.
There were opportunities there. There's one of the criticisms, I think, of the offensive line coming out of Wednesday night was they couldn't run. They got it manhandled up.
They ran the ball.
Yeah, Bo Jackson and C.J. Donaldson combined for 4.7 yards per carry. There were opportunities for those to actually hit even more than they did.
There was some, they had to make some guys miss, and maybe they didn't. The one run that wasn't all that successful, you couldn't really run outside on them with the structure of their defense.
Stretch
how wide
it was not working.
They ran the stretch to serve outside. Now, I will say this. I think,
Bain was there.
I don't know if it was Bennett Christensen or Will Kazmarek. I think they could have helped out. A lot of times you have a wide guy, you'll punch and kind of help. And I don't think that they helped and did enough to help Saravel get him there. Whatever. But then they started running inside in the second half and were able to run downhill and get it going. And so people are like, I wish Ryan Day would have been more aggressive. I'm like, being aggressive, drop back and subject your quarterback to getting sacked when they're not protecting very well. Yeah. The answer was to continue to run it inside. And we laugh with all like the Dave, the counter, the running down. That's what was working.
Yeah.
Just running inside. I mean, they were ripping 7, 8, 9, 10 yards off, and you mentioned 4.7 between the two of them. The rushing yards get skewed because you factor in the sacks to it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where you lose another 40 some odd yards or whatever it was, or 20, 30, whatever it was. So like that kind of skews those numbers. But they got behind and they had time. And I don't want to overly harp on this. I wish I brought I literally went down and read, I graded not graded, I watched every play and like took notes as to ebb of flow, importance
Nicole
of this.
did too, though, right?
Actually, no, I've got some in my phone
I mean,
that I do want to look at.
4 pages of like a yellow pad of just going over 1st and 10, writing the time. Here's this drive. Here's this. What's the score? What's the situation? And so I was very critical of the defense just because I know what is going on and what should be happening more so than on the offensive side. So like when a guy should be a little bit further outside and they're not, it's like, like that ball shouldn't be caught if you just did what you were supposed to do. And so that's what was frustrating.
How frustrating? So, because I told you on Thursday morning, I didn't point really the finger at all in the Silver Bullets. And most games where you give up 17 points, Ohio State should still win them.
I mean, the last touchdown was, I mean, they probably hold them to a field goal there. You could argue that they give up like 13 points against Miami.
So, but you're taking these notes. You felt that how much was lacking in the execution, I guess, on that side of the football?
Not a ton. Like I'm talking like little nuances. The difference between they get off the field, but maybe they don't get another first down. Like there's an old adage, and when teams motion, like they always say, overrun the motion, because a lot of times you're in motion, you're trying to get outside of teams. And they talked about it. And so the problem is when Lorenzo Styles got hurt, you move Jermaine Matthews from corner, move him inside. So it's a position that he hasn't got a ton of reps in all week. And then you bring in Sanchez, and he's playing corner. And he'd gotten some reps out there, but maybe not as much as Matthews and Igbenusa. So, like, there was just some little things there where maybe you get off the field in this situation. There's a double where you have Malachi Tony hemmed up, and you have your inside linebacker coming to double with you from the inside, and you're not playing him outside, as you should be. He probably would throw you the football because he's running it out, and you're supposed to be there. You don't need to worry about him inside because there's another guy right there. And, like, those are some of the things. So, yeah, you tackle them, they get off the field. Not a huge deal. You tackle them, and then you get off the field maybe the next series, but they get a first down, or maybe it's a couple more yards. Like, those are the things that I looked at defensively. It's like, ooh, Sonny missed a tackle. Hadn't really missed any tackles all year. Caleb, same thing. Like, I guess it's a really inopportune time where it maybe is like a no gain or -1. Instead, it's a +7, +6. It's like, okay, well, yeah, they get off the field later, but that could have been a 3 and out. And there's just little things like that. When I went back and watched, it's like, man, like the things on the margin. We've talked about the kicking all year. I'm like, I don't think the kicking is the reason they lost.
Didn't help.
But I go, it's part of the story. And someone's like, it's like the 8th or 9th reason. I go, dude, if you get a field goal before halftime offensively, you just feel a lot better. I was worried it was going to be 21-0. I'm like, you get the stop, you get the ball, and you drive that thing off of there. You make some really good plays. And then you've got, 48-yarder or whatever it was. Like,
49, which their guy hit in the second half.
Yeah, you got to
he had plenty of leg.
It's indoors. Yeah. Like, there's no wind. There's none of that. Like, you've got to get that done.
It's a high-pressure position.
It is. And it really
I knew you could resist, Nicole.
But you get into that position knowing this is a high-pressure position.
But I watch Ole Miss's guy get up there and bang one in for the win. Yeah. And
I believe he was
Nuge saved our butts back in the day.
And that's 100%.
That's what happens.
And like it does, and I'm not saying like
he's so great.
Mike missed one against Northwestern that cost us the game in overtime. Like, and I'll never. And he's felt bad. I'm like, dude, this is that one on you. Like you've made plenty over your history. Like we can't just dump it all at your feet all the time. And I'm not saying that is the reason. And even if it was the final kick of the game, I wouldn't say it's the reason. But that was a big piece because then when you score in the second half, and let's just play it out how it did, then it's 17-all.
Tie ball game.
And all of a sudden, for being up 14-0. Now it's 17-all. Like there's a much different feel when it's tied. You're going to call the game differently on offense. If you're Miami, there's going to be a different feel about it. It's like that's one of the other little things. Sorry, as I got off on like.
Well, I thought they would have called it a lot differently without that illegal formation penalty on the punt. I thought
that's 20 yards.
That was the one.
20 yards.
Even I told Jay-Z this. Like, even after that failed drive for Ohio State offensively, and then that punt when it's at the 10, and I look down there and think, well. Miami's going to have to be pretty conservative. Ohio State should, I bet they'll get the 3 and out here pretty easily, get the ball back in midfield, and you have the chance to go back and win the game again. It was when that flag was dropped on the field, and I looked, and everything, wherever it ended up, that was when I was like, that's actually it. I can go ahead and finish my this is a loss column after the game. Yeah, that's the special teams breakdown to me.
Yeah.
The execution, you are going to miss field goals sometimes, Nicole. You're right, and sometimes you're not going to hit a perfect punt. But they did hit a good punt. They were going to put Miami in a tough spot coming out from their 10-yard line, and they just simply didn't line up correct. And those are the issues that predate special teams coordinators, multiple eras. They've been happening for years, and those are the ones that make me feel like I'm losing my sanity, Jay-Z.
Yeah, all of us a little bit there. And, usually, Tress always talked about having great special teams, opportunistic offense, relentless defense.
Superior special units.
Yeah, so that it's a part of the game, but you
Oh, there he goes.
Oh, come on, Jay-Z.
I don't know if that's ever happened.
Be a pro.
I think it actually happened to me a couple weeks ago, but I was able to just
saved it?
Yeah,
Okay.
Somebody else was talking.
We'll get that corrected.
Yeah, but anyhow, you missed the kick. It's a tough spot, but it just is a bad look when it's 2 weeks in a row, or 2 games in a row, not 2 weeks in a row. So that's a little bit more fresh in your head. But for this offense to look the way they did in the first half, it just kind of surprised me a little bit. I'm like, we're watching Indiana over again, because we're not seeing blitzers, we're not picking up these guys, we don't have somebody to replace them with, we're holding on to the ball, we're taking huge sacks.
Yeah,
I thought there would be a plan coming out into that first half where we would not, knowing that Miami's defensive line was the power of their defense, and we heard it coming into this game, and then we just gave them the opportunity to get after our quarterback on third downs early in the game, and I just didn't think that was smart. I think that's a huge momentum thing. When you get them excited, you get their defense excited. I would have rather just been 1, 2, 3, throw. Something to keep joy in rhythm, and we saw that in the second half where we started running the ball inside, getting some of those, and then it was just 1, 2, 3, boom, we're throwing it to Jeremiah on a curl, or 1, 2, 3, we're getting the ball out. That's what I thought we would see, and the first 2 third downs of the game, we ran go routes on the outside, which is fun and great, but it takes a little bit of time when they're pressing. You're going to get off the line of scrimmage. You're going to have to sit there and wait for them, and when you miss a block, you're taking a 10-yard sack, and it just didn't feel like we had any kind of rhythm until the end of that first half where we're starting to get some dump down, some checkoffs, and we're just going to move the ball. And, I know their defense was probably playing differently at that point in time at the end of the half, but we were doing what we had to do. Julian stayed in that pocket. That third down to Brandon, where he had somebody draped on him. Not a great ball, but he put it where he could only catch it, and Brandon goes and makes a great play for him to get a chance to have a field goal at the end. So they started getting it, and it's just that first drive of the second half. It's like, all right, here we go. Bo's up the middle for 15. We're moving, and it's just the defensive side. We just 3rd and 11, Carson Beck picking it up on a scramble. There's so many 3rd and 4s, 3rd and 3s, looking like we got them, and then no, they just seem to always fall forward, and they may get off the field on the next one, but we're eating up clock. We're into the second half. We don't have another 2.5 minutes. We don't have that kind of luxury. Needed to get off the field there a couple times, and just it's hard because you think like, man, we got manhandled, but we really didn't get manhandled. It just kind of had that feeling in certain plays and certain situations where it's like, man, we just can't do anything here, and it just never got it going. But to score 14 points, I didn't see that coming.
Well, and I think Miami, stepping back, I think they had a good game. They had a good game. And I think we were kind of banking on their quarterback maybe throwing a few interceptions or not being, but he had a great game. They didn't have the little things happen to them that happened to us, and they just, all those things added up.
We actually had some good things happen to us, in the first half, right? They're driving, first fumble of the year for Fletcher.
Gosh.
He gives it to us with 8 minutes to go in the first quarter.
Peyton Pierce, a great play there.
Yeah, so there's a few things that did go our way, but we just were never able to get over that hump there.
Well, they also had 2 fumbles
that bounced
right back into him.
It was like Malachi Tony was just dribbling. I'm going to pick this right back up.
I think the one, he grabbed it with one hand and just started running again. So those are unfortunate as well, but it was just a tough go. None of us saw that happening. It's just when it does, and you're sitting there like the rest of the season, first half, we're like, don't worry about it. We'll be fine.
And to Nicole's point about that was a really good game by Carson Beck. I thought he pulled it down and ran it when he needed to. He didn't make any of those ill-fated decisions.
5th, 6th-year guy, tons of experience. If you're going to let him sit back, not that we let him sit back there, but we weren't getting a ton of pressure on him. Felt pretty clean in the pocket for the most part. He's going to hurt you if you allow him to, sit back there and see the field. I think when he gets under duress or throws, some, INT balls is when you're getting pressure and he's just trying to make something happen and doesn't really see everything. But he was able to just sit back and kind of, run their offense. And the run game helped him, and, all that goes into it.
Yeah, I did think going in that Carson Beck, to Nicole's point, was going to make one of those mistakes that put Ohio State in position to win that game. And with the way he managed it, the way he played it, I think about it now in hindsight, that was the 36th win of Carson Beck's college career, not his 36th game, his 36th win. Julian Sayin has played 14. And I know that they're not going head to head, but, some of the decision making with Carson Beck running, keeping the ball out of harm's way, Julian Sayin held on to the football at times. He didn't make the right decision. He took sacks. He didn't use his legs to get the first downs. And I don't mean that to pile on. I'm just saying the difference between the two in the veteran experience was clear.
And we saw some of that earlier in the year where, it would break down and he would go out and, he picked up multiple first downs for us, this year. It's just these last 2 games, we love the Joe Cool and California kid, but it's like at some point in time, you got a lot of fire under your butt and you got to realize, like, I got to do something here. I got to get up in this pocket quicker. I got to, get on the edge a little bit faster just to give myself a chance. And it'll come. But, right now he wasn't there. And, his last 2 games they looked very similar to me as far as him in the pocket and just kind of maybe not seeing exactly what he thinks he's seeing and holding on to the ball and, it's just taking some real bad sacks.
Well, to help, I know Nicole dislikes it when we get critical of the specialists. It's okay, Nicole.
Well,
but
I'll have a comeback.
One of the things that could have helped is you have, I think, a 2nd and 2 and a 3rd and 2. And the 2nd and 2 with Julian right before that, I mean, he's standing and looking. Maybe it was the 3rd, and he throws it out of bounds.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, we don't have any timeouts, but there's 15 seconds left. You could have got 5 or 6 more yards and slid it out. Does that make a difference? I don't know.
Yeah.
But I know it doesn't hurt, and I maybe he had the echoes of Will Howard and Ryan told him, make sure you throw it away. We can't have an Oregon situation where we're not getting a chance to kick at the end. But you had you were going to get a first down at this point.
Yeah,
but it's a learning lesson for him.
It is.
And again, like your point, he's only played 14 games.
Yep.
And he has been fantastic for his age, the talent he has, and he can only get better from here. And I think it's good for us looking forward to, upcoming seasons that he learned a lot from this past game. And so
it was quite the adventure he had out there on the field this year.
Well, you know what, Jay-Z, you're absolutely right. And if you're looking for your next adventure, you should head to Tansky Power Sports. It's your one-stop shop for ATVs, dirt bikes, golf carts, and so much more. Whether you're looking for speed, power, or versatility, Tansky Power Sports has something for everyone, literally everyone. With the best brands and expert service, visit Tansky Power Sports today at 2491 West Dublin Granville Road or browse their huge selection online at TanskyPowersports.com. Tansky Power Sports, where the adventure begins. And now we have to talk about the 2026 journey. Or, Nicole, you can just evaluate what you think about the 2025.
Yeah, I would like to sum up the 2025 season for all those
you get to choose the journey for us right here.
I'll do both.
All right.
I feel that I just want everyone to remember. I know it's a bummer that we lost. It was a bummer. But we need to look at, we had an undefeated season. We beat Michigan, and the Texas game and the Michigan game were absolutely incredible. And we need to also remember that we have a head coach that has 79 wins and 10 losses. His winning percentage was at the highest in the middle of the year this year of any coach for his tenure. Like that we have all of that. Like, we are so fortunate to have that. And so I think we just need to focus on that for this year. And it was such a great season. It was great. And I think moving forward, we are losing some players, but I think the coaches are great at preparing the new ones. And, sometimes I like to see when we have like younger guys coming in, because I'm like, okay, we've got a couple years with these guys. Whereas like, if you just have a bunch of older guys that are playing great, you're like, ooh, next year could be tough, but, so I just think it's important for everybody to remember that.
It's a good reminder, Nicole, and it's probably hard because that loss is still fresh. And there was also a loss before that to end
Indiana's
the expectation
having a good run.
I think what
They're just
to your point, the expectations for this team going into the year, and in the Woody, it is always going to be to win the rivalry game, to compete and win the Big Ten championship, and then to go after that and win a national championship. You're not likely to get all three of those at once. It's incredibly difficult in this college football playoff era. But setting that aside, the standard being the standard, the national perception, and even I think to a large extent in Columbus going into the year, Bob, was, well, you have to replace 9 starters on defense. They won the national championship. They have to replace Will Howard at quarterback. Penn State is going to do this. Texas is going to do that. We'll see what Ohio State can do to rebuild with an eye maybe on 2026. And I'm not saying that everyone feels that way, and I'm not arguing with a straw man. There weren't a lot of people that said in the beginning of the year, well, Ohio State must win the national championship for this year to be a success.
Most people said if we just beat Michigan, they'll be happy.
Yeah.
That's what I heard.
Coming into the year,
I
I was
said,
like,
why are you so mad?
There were
You
some.
told me that's all you wanted.
I said that on the show, the post-game show afterwards. Like, we're gonna find out. People happy with us?
Again,
beating
not,
And it was such a
not
great
everybody
win.
said that,
Yeah.
but it also goes back to the conversation at the end of November in 2024. So I'm not telling anyone how to feel. As you said, it was disappointing and deflating and bitter ending, Nicole, on Wednesday night. Obviously it was.
I don't
And
know
I don't
if
think
I said that, but I just
so
it
one
was
of the,
a bummer.
I don't remember what bummers were. I didn't.
You cleaned it
Okay.
up. You cleaned it up. It was probably a lot
I
worse.
didn't remember.
No. Oh my God.
I didn't
never.
remember the exact words you used because but they were all running through my brain to describe them that way. You can take your pick on that one. And I'm not again. Anyone can feel as sad as they want about the loss, and they don't have to reflect on just beating Michigan or everything else, Bob. But this team did still accomplish something. It wasn't nothing.
They were amazing. It was a
They're
great
good.
season.
I mean,
it was
the
an incredible
number one
season.
team most of the.
Yes.
I mean, the defense comes out as like the best defense in a long time, right?
The problem is with the defense is you had some players that played so well that they may not be back now. And that's the thing with Arvell. It's like he played better than I think people anticipated, so he probably will be moving on.
Halfway through the year, he was on a lot of people's like top 5
And
pick.
he's really good, very, very talented. And so unfortunately, you probably don't get him as much as you would like. So that's disappointing. But as far as the season, I'd say disappointing. Like, people go, "Is it a disappointment?" I'm like, you can be like disappointed and not be a disappointment. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
they didn't go 8-4.
Okay. You can still enjoy the season
Yeah.
and just be, that stunk the way it ended.
Yeah.
But you know what? We were 12-0 at one point in time.
Yeah, you lost your last 2, and you lost one on the final play, basically, of the game. The game you didn't play your best, and then you played a Miami team that was pretty good, and you had some shots to win it. They made some big plays. You didn't make quite enough, but it wasn't like I feel like after leaving that game that there's something like systemically wrong with Ohio State's program and what Ryan Day is doing. Like, they didn't go out there and mail it in. The guys played hard.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't get just. Like if I was Alabama, I would be concerned after you get bludgeoned by 30 plus points by Indiana. Like if that would have happened, I look like our guys quit, then I would be having there'd be bigger conversations to be had. But that wasn't the case.
And when I said it was a bummer, I just feel
The
bad.
game itself, that's what you're talking about.
Well, yeah, the game itself. I feel bad for the players. I feel bad for the seniors leaving on a loss. But, they really just need to focus on how incredible the season was. It was just, and that Michigan game will go down as one of my favorite games of all time. All rounds of it. The way the guys acted at the end. In Miami, I was not happy with their arrogance, by the way. They were just really sassy.
They're kind of known for
They're
that.
insufferable.
They were very sassy.
I put that in my notes. I was like,
I
disgusting.
think Bob got to deal with some
there was a
Miami
guy
fans
in the box.
up close.
The guy, one of the gentlemen who I let me sit in their suite, he's like, he had bought half of it. I didn't realize you could just buy half. And so he's like, "Do you know these other people?" He's like, "No, there's some other Buckeye fans in there. They were great." And then there was a Miami Hurricanes fan and his son. And a couple of the folks in there that were Ohio State fans, one of the guys was LSU fan. He's like, "But I'm not cheering for Miami." He's like, he was buddies with one of they were in the military together. And the guy was an Ohio State guy. And the Miami fans, especially at the beginning, and then they quieted down when it was 17-14. Yeah. But he said something to the guy's wife, and I was like, and the guy was, "Hey, you better be more respectful." And she was like, she wasn't being whatever, but these guys were ridiculous up front.
Yeah.
And the guy was overserved, and his son, it was with his son. He's probably, I don't know, late 40s, early 50s. He's with his son, who's like a grown adult, early 20s, and the kid was recognized like this is not a good situation. And
It's not
Those
good
are,
when
those are the military guys and an NFL
I sat in the back.
linebacker.
Yeah.
I didn't say a word because the one guy's like, "I'll throw you off this balcony if you keep talking trash." Like, you got to realize you're in here. He's like, you can cheer, but be respectful.
Yeah.
So it was
It's not really known.
terrible.
That's not the reputation for the Miami program or its fan base or wherever those people came from. I'm not really sure. Don't think they all went to school there. But you know what you could have used in that, sweet Bob?
Could have used some
Mini corn dogs.
mini corn dogs because they would make me so
Appetizer
happy.
threes day.
Yeah, it's here and it's back, and
It's
it's the
back.
first one of the year. And so they pull out, they throw the high heat.
There
They
you
brought
go.
the
corn
high heat.
dogs. Oh, they've got the mustard dipping sauce. It's so delicious. And if you have a wood allergy, 2026, this is your appetizer right here.
That's right.
I love
For
it.
you.
We should have just had you tee
$3
up, Daisy.
all day
You're
long.
the king of the segues.
I
in
know.
that
I'm really
house.
liking it.
That's your resolution.
Speaking
for
of-
That's my resolution.
Speaking of hot dogging,
Oh,
the mini
Speaking
corn
of hot
dogs.
dog nose Miami fans, these mini corn dogs.
that's the one right there. That's perfect. All right. What else is going on in the new year, Nicole?
We're just excited. It's a new year,
Yeah.
and we should be opening our Marysville location this month.
Whoa.
Let's
Close to
go.
Jay-Z.
Whoa.
All right. yeah.
Which that's really what we're working on right now. But
Are we going to swing by there for a test?
yeah,
test day?
we'd
All right.
love it.
Mm.
So we'll have to figure out the date for that. That'd be
Okay.
perfect.
All right. If it's anything like what's happened here on Olentangy, this is the finest
I
location.
mean, that might
of any
be my
Roosters.
third Roosters opening. I mean,
Yeah.
we're out the one on the east
Yeah,
It's
side.
fun.
out in-
Yeah, Gehenna.
Cut
One,
the
two,
ribbon.
three. Let's do it.
I mean, what better way than to open a show than with the live show? Which
right.
had a fun, casual joint. And thanks to Bryant Heating, Cooling Systems, and Tansky Power Sports as well for supporting this show. And thank you to Nicole Cox and the team at Roosters. But she's going to go about the rest of her day unapologetic Nicole. That is her 2026 resolution. And we're going to see if we can get optimistic Birm in the building for 2026. as we
There's
roll
nothing optimistic about this guy.
right along, right after this.
Roosters has been so fortunate. We just want to be able to give some of that back to the community.
They donate to organizations that are near and dear to their heart, and we're so fortunate to have been with Roosters now for a long time.
They always go above and beyond to help support our foundation to further help veterans.
It's just a wonderful feeling to know that Roosters supports the Buckeye Cruise for Cancer.
All the folks at Roosters are just genuinely kind folks, and they want to make a difference.
Thank you, Roosters Foundation.
Thank you, Roosters.
Thank you, Roosters.
Thank you, Roosters Foundation.
Precision engineering, rigorous attention to detail. A Bryant Evolution heating system is so well designed, it's as much of a joy to install as it is to use.
Good to go.
Bryant, whatever it takes.
Schedule your appointment today with Carpenter Heating, Cooling, Plumbing, and Electric at carpentercolumbus.com.
Welcome back into the live show at Roosters, a fun, casual joint brought to you by Bryant Heating and Cooling Systems and Tansky Power Sports. And optimistic 2026 Birm is here.
Sure.
He's feeling good.
Why not?
Sure.
Are you?
Why not?
Did you enjoy our New Year's Eve experience?
No, I didn't.
No.
But that's
What was your
fine.
favorite part then?
There was no favorite part
warm-ups.
of that. It is
Press
what it
box
is.
food.
Football, you lose sometimes. I'm not going to sit here and I said a few weeks ago on the show, I thought it was a bad matchup for Ohio State. Styles make fights, and Ohio State got punched in the first quarter and a half and had a tough time getting off the mat. By the time you did, you're exhausted, and then you have to get one more stop, and everyone's pretty burnt out at that point. Kudos to Miami. They were better.
And there you have it.
That's all right.
That's the live
Well,
show.
I guess that's it.
I mean, they were better. I mean, obviously,
Realistic,
Brought to you.
pragmatic Birm. in
you can
2026.
certainly look at the game and realize Ohio State had opportunities to make plays that they didn't make. I mean, things we haven't seen all year. Sonny Styles missing tackles. Like, that hadn't happened all year. But also, how many running games have you gone against that have five-star offensive linemen and a 255-pound running back? I mean, it's you walk into that game and you go, this is who we have to play. And Ohio State had a plan that they thought would make sense, which was to attack Miami down the field. That's what we talked about all week and a half leading up to it. That's how you get them. But you have to protect the quarterback first, and they didn't do that. And then once Julian's internal clock gets sped up, everything else goes to shoot, and then you have to bounce back. I thought they did a really nice job at halftime making adjustments. You just a couple bad breaks, man. A veteran quarterback who has won more games than any quarterback or a higher winning percentage than any quarterback in the FCS. Like, he knows how to get out of crap, and like Julian didn't. And
anxious to see how many different words.
When it's 3rd and 11, and all you have to do is stop the quarterback from running for 11 yards. That's when you know, hey, this is just their day, because Ohio State has stopped that play all year long, over and over. And you certainly don't look at it and go, well, Carson Beck's going to beat us with his legs. But it wasn't about his legs. It's about being a quarterback who's seen everything and played in the SEC. It's not like he was a guy that was a backup at Georgia and didn't start. He started for Georgia for 2 years. You've seen a lot of different things, and the internal clock and understanding you get to your second read, and if it's not there, you need to take off, because that's what you're playing.
You start climbing the pocket, and all of a sudden you see it out there and you go for it.
And so kudos to Miami. They built their team a lot different than Ohio State has in the last few years, and it paid off for them on Saturday night or Wednesday night, whatever the hell day that was.
It does feel, Jay-Z, like that is the part for Julian Sain's game when you look at not just the Cotton Bowl, but also the Big Ten Championship game and handling pressure against Indiana. We can certainly assign some blame to the protection and the lack thereof, but it's also not going to be perfect on 100% of the snaps, and the quarterback has to be able to identify. This is, again, not piling on. I said that in the first half of the show. I'll reiterate it now, but he is not a finished product at quarterback. I don't think there's any question that decision-making and maybe extending plays more with his legs in the future is going to be something he's got to do in his second year as a starter.
Yeah, I think he'll get there. Everything that we threw at him this year, though, is just like he answered it. Like on the road, first time, blah, blah, and everything, it was just like, all right, and he looked really good, really good, really good. And then, just got to a point in these last two where it's just like it just didn't click for him for whatever reason. Maybe it was just more pressure than he had seen. Maybe it was different looks, more blitzes, more twists, whatever. But, yes, I think at some point, I think in the offseason will be a lot of, like, I remember, drill trust made us do. Now it's a different football game than it was back then. But, you're in the pocket, you climb up the pocket, and then and then you take off if you need to, instead of just sitting there drifting, because that's when you lose 10-15 yards. At least if you're trying to stay in the pocket, move around, stay around the line of scrimmage, it's not going to be a huge loss for you. Or maybe you just pull it down and go. So that was something I did back in the day. Now again, things have changed a lot, I understand, but I feel like that's what he does. He gets back there and just continues to hang and hang, expecting himself to be able to find something and get the ball out. And these guys are big dudes, and they're fast, and they're strong, and they're coming for your head. So, this will be a good learning experience. I imagine he'll be fine. I know he's not afraid to use his legs. He's done it before. It just seemed in these last couple games, it was like he didn't even think about it. Like it was an option for him. And it's like, no, we need that.
Yeah, I mean, everyone points to the one play at the end of the half where he had what looked to be like 7-8 yards in front of him. I know. I mean, the internet's like, oh, he's got 20 yards. Like he did not.
No, there were guys sitting there.
There was about 7 yards there.
Distance closed up in a hurry.
And it was two linebackers who would have been converging on him. Like it's fine. It's the sack after the 60-yard play to Jeremiah Smith that you can't have. Like that ball has to go through the back of the end zone.
Well, it goes to your tight end running down the middle. If you see it.
If you see it, but if you don't, then it has to just go through the uprights. Sure. Like there's no reason that ball that sack after a 60-yard play turns into 2nd and 21. Like that, you can't have that as a quarterback at Ohio State. So especially in a game when you only play 3 or 4 talent equated games all year, like that guy has to be able to make that play quicker. And again, the offensive line, you're replacing a starter. Obviously, Gabe Van Sickle earned the job in the 2 weeks leading up to the game. I don't know what that looked like in practice. You can tell us. You were there more.
He looked good.
Josh Padilla came in the second half and things were significantly better, but you can't. I mean, hindsight's 20/20. So you played the guy you thought was going to give you the best chance, and clearly when the lights came on, Gabe wasn't ready for it. And that's really hard when you're dealing with 20% of your offensive line not being able to block.
But that was an issue that we had all year long, and I don't think they truly addressed that.
Well, because you go into this game thinking, well, we've gotten away with it, and you think about the Indiana game, and we talked about it last week on the show. Like Miami didn't do a lot of that stunting and twisting and all that stuff. They just beat guys straight up. And Ohio State, I think it would be silly to me that they didn't expect Miami to do that type of stuff because it worked so well for Indiana, but it just didn't seem like they were prepared for that.
Yeah, the stunning guy. I mean, that's to Jay-Z's point. Like that right guard place had been an issue where they'd been experimenting. They kept going back to Tegra.
They were open about it. Like, hey, we're going to see some other things in here, and then it just.
And they kept going back to Tegra, who's one of the other portal combatees right now.
Yeah, he is.
And just wondering, like, well, if you just gave Van Sickle all the reps, maybe for the last
against some teams where maybe we can afford to have some of that.
And I get that. And I don't know. And you figure that out. You want to obviously win every game. They thought he was the best guy to play against Michigan, and He
played
well.
well. He did. That was maybe one of the best performances of his
and
career.
got hurt in that game.
Yes.
So, like, why is he going against Indiana if he wasn't 100%? So I think that ultimately, when you do the postmortem of this season, which is going to piss people off the most, is that the same problems that were there in week 1 were there in week 14. And that is something that you get frustrated by because the kicking game, special teams woes that have been a problem for multiple years, the right guard situation,
red zone
offense, like these are the things that were the problems all year. And so it's understandable that people get more frustrated because, the expectations change. As you guys said in the first half, this was not going into the season a championship or bust season. But then you start to see everything that's on this team and everything you have, and then you realize, well, hey, this playoff is not really full of great teams.
Yeah.
This is a chance to win another national championship, and then you get the worst matchup you can get in your first game, and then you come out seemingly unprepared to have a backup plan if your original game plan didn't work. And I think that it can – I know why people are mad and frustrated. I mean, I think hindsight, 6 months from now, people say, hey, that was a pretty good season. We have 4 more first-round picks. The program's in fine shape. Like, there's nobody worrying that the infrastructure is crumbling, but you also – can look at it and feel like, man, this is a big missed opportunity.
Would you think you got it? You get it?
That's right. I was thinking that,
I've heard
when
that
you think
before.
you got it, you're going to get
Well, they got it.
And look, they've got to get back to work. They did that already on Thursday. Cortez Hankton was hired as the wide receivers coach. He's got big-time experience at LSU and Georgia. He's worked with a lot of high-profile wide receivers, helped develop them, Bob. I don't know what that necessarily means. I am in the camp solidly that Ryan Day needs a head coach of the offense and someone to call plays with veteran experience. In terms of the countable positions, right now Ohio State is full. Will they go beyond that could you hire an offensive coordinator who doesn't have on-the-road recruiting responsibilities? As far as I know, there's no rule against it in the unlimited coaching era. So I still think that's what they need. I don't know if that's been definitively decided one way or another by the guy who has to make that choice.
Were you surprised that Chip wasn't in the consideration for that? Or maybe he was. Or
I wasn't surprised. I was told that he wasn't going to be, but I didn't ask for an explanation why, because I was just told pretty explicitly that was not going to be a road that Ohio State wanted to go down or was interested in pursuing, and I think you could tell by maybe the caliber of jobs that Chip was interviewing for with Georgia Tech and ultimately Northwestern that maybe there wasn't a great appetite at the highest level of college. But, I understand that the counter argument to that is he won a national championship at Ohio State the year before.
Here's the thing. He parlayed his job here into being the highest paid coordinator in all of
NFL history.
Yeah, all of football history. And maybe it didn't work out there. So is it
bad now.
Which is it? Is it the A or is it the B?
And I understand there's a case to be made either way, but
maybe it's a little of both,
yeah.
which is usually what it is.
But I wasn't surprised by it, at least in terms of the process.
Yep.
But I don't know what that necessarily means because every time I float like what I think the ideal candidate would be, it gets turned into that I'm reporting that's interest. And I don't know of people who have interviewed, and I don't know if that's actually
there even are interviews.
Yeah, if that's actually what Ryan Day will do, because what I said 2 weeks ago with college football playoff being an audition for Keenan Bailey or Tyler Bowen or Billy Fessler. I mean, that was a short audition, and I don't know how you would use that to prove your point that Birm said the infrastructure that you could rely on those guys to go on the road against Texas and USC and play Oregon and Michigan and that schedule.
Schedule next year is tough.
It's a very tough schedule.
I'm saying, if people want to complain, like there's a real opportunity next year is like the rebuilding year that Ohio State hasn't had in quite some time, and so you have to get this right if you're Ryan Day. You can't because the fan base, like the appetite or the like ability to say, hey, you just won a national championship, like it's over now. Like that was last year. Now next year is next year. If you go out next year and you only win 8 games, no one's gonna give a crap about the national championship 2 years ago. Like it is a pretty big hire for Ryan Day.
I mean, they're not just handing out national championships to just anybody nowadays, though. I mean, it's not like you just
Well, Indiana's the favorite to win
well,
it, Jay-Z.
You know what? I'm wrong. Never mind.
Indiana, Ole Miss, Miami, and Oregon is not exactly the Final Four people would have anticipated.
But I think the thought that you look at that scheduling, like, is this team, will they be in the mix? It's a pretty tough schedule that they've got. And maybe that'll harden them a little bit. Maybe you'll lose a game or two in the regular season. I mean, that isn't Michigan, which is like the furthest thing from anybody's
expectation, right? That is still a real possibility in the Big Ten.
Well, especially with the schedule they have.
Right,
They finally have the schedule now that people have wanted them to have, wanted to see. And
Indiana game 4 next year.
USC,
2
Oregon,
after Texas.
Yeah. Right? I mean, Michigan, Indiana, or Nebraska.
I apologize, by the way, for not bringing up the potential reigning national champions on the road in the first month of the season. So they're all out there.
So you will have Indiana and Oregon, who made the CFP.
USC, who's right on
Texas,
the
Texas
very good,
who are right on the brink.
Right on the fringe. Michigan, who honestly
Michigan right on the fringe.
Right on the
Michigan beats Ohio State. They're in the playoff.
Iowa was right on. If Iowa beats,
I was the top 20 team.
If Iowa beat USC, there's a chance that they're in that conversation. You're literally seeing the best of the Big Ten. The year that Penn State moves off is a year that they're probably going to be rebuilding a little bit with the new coach, and that's the one time you're not playing them.
All that to say, the offensive coordinator hire actually feels pretty damn important.
Yeah.
Is it more important than the portal?
That's a great question because
you get the right players. Then
defensively they lost
a
lot, and losing. We'll see what happens with this.
You guys have 15 or so days to decide.
They're still working
NFL
to try
versus...
to bring back Caden McDonald and Kenyatta Jackson. Those conversations are ongoing. Obviously, it's not likely you bring back Caden. It does feel like Kenyatta should be a guy that comes back, right?
I hope so.
I don't know.
He's getting like 4th round grades or something like that.
Yeah, but okay.
But there's other teams that can go offer him a lot of money.
And that's the point. I like Kenyatta, and I think he's done a pretty good job here. He got better this year. I still think there's a lot of room for him to improve, and for to continue to expand how versatile he is with some of the things. And because Matt Patricia, they do a lot on defense, but it's his it's his willingness and desire to do that. And what does he think that he is quote worth other places? And that's what's hard is we've got some of these younger guys. Now he's played a lot, but then you have some guys who maybe haven't played who could still garner more money other places.
Right. Well, the Wild Wild West. I mean, everyone is open to negotiation, the entire roster. So it's not like you can enter this postseason and feel like, oh, okay, well, we have a core, because you don't. No. You don't have anybody on your roster. Like,
it's all free agents.
It's all free agents. So you have to go
Good
through.
news is the early enrollees were in today. I said a year from now, they too can be in the portal.
Right. Terrific.
You can take you can be taking portal visits.
Yeah. So
we've got like young guys working out for the first time and people coming through on portal visits. I'm like, that could be you.
When you have other schools offering guys who might be starters at Ohio State next year almost $1 million, like that's crazy. And Ohio State, and I know that there's the argument from the fan base is like, just pay everyone. Like,
that's not when people say that, just pay everybody. I said, okay, then where's the money coming from? They have it. Who is they?
Yeah.
Show me the proverbial they. Because there's not the dude that Texas Tech has. Like there's not Phil Knight here. Like
there's not a billionaire who's just like, I'm going to make this into what I want it to be.
People can argue and they'll yell me they're blue in the face. I'm like, I know the people that give. I know the people how much they have and what they're willing to do. And continually going back to the same people every year is very difficult.
It's a whole different ballgame.
These people are wealthy, but they're not wealthy beyond measure. I mean, it's not Scrooge McDuck.
It's not fun money for them, in a way. It's
like they do what they can and they help. And
they give because they want to give to the university.
And people are like, just buy me a better team. Like, I don't know what you want people to
make
do.
me a bicycle.
But it's also twofold, Bob, where not just donor fatigue. I know that people hate that, or that Ohio State makes more revenue than any other program. Set all that aside. Both of you guys have been in locker rooms. You've been in the NFL for a long time. If you're just paying backups X amount of dollars, 7 figures, well, the starters they command more than that. It's not just the acquisition piece.
Yeah.
It is also the culture piece, and I know people hate it and they talk too much about the brotherhood and that shouldn't buy you discounts or coupons on your spending. Well, it is about managing a roster and building a culture, and that part should not be dismissed. If you're paying $1 million plus for a true freshman who's never done anything, well, then what does that mean for the veteran seniors returning starter?
He's coming to you and saying I want $1.5 million.
He's or more.
Well, that's why you look at a conversation like Chaz Coleman, the defensive end from Penn State, who visited on Friday. Like,
did he visit on Friday?
I thought
he was supposed to visit on Friday. I mean, their conversations have been shifting because Ohio State is putting together what they think is a very competitive and better
market value,
a better long-term plan for him, as opposed to immediate upfront money. And so Tennessee, LSU, those places are willing to give the amount that the family is saying we want upfront. Ohio State saying we can't bring back Kenyatta Jackson if we give you this money.
Yep.
We would risk losing Zion Grady if we give you this money. So like it's not just that that cut and dry. And you look at programs like Indiana, for example, they have 26 to 28 seniors. They're going to lose all of their starters. They're just replacing starters by buying new starters.
Mm-hmm.
Ohio State has not taken that approach. They want to develop guys inside of the program. They want second and third year guys to come up and be the guy. The problem you're running into now in college football is those guys don't care.
No.
Those guys, and Aaron Scott and Bryce West are prime examples of that. They are both in line to be starters at Ohio State next year if they want to go compete for it. And rather than saying, hey, we've waited our time, now let's go. So it becomes really hard to build the roster you used to than the way you used to. And I think that Miami is a good example of that. If you look at what they've done, their upfront offensive and defensive lines they spent a lot of money on, those are old guys, but they're old guys that they recruited.
Yeah.
So now you are really looking at a world where like you maybe just want to really pay like 30 guys because the guys beyond them don't matter. Like play the guys. It's going to require a philosophy shift at some point because player 55 on the roster does not matter.
No.
And it doesn't, if
it sucks, and that player 55
might be Bryce West,
the 97th best player in the country and the 6th best player in the state. And so do you just not recruit that guy and say, hey, we'll get you in 2 years when you go somewhere else? And
it's like if
come back,
the guys, they've already they're doing that with the Ohio tight end again.
Yeah.
He's got a commitment on Sunday.
Mason Williams is a guy that they recruited 2 years ago out of high school, and at the end we're like, we're going to offer him let's just let him go. He was going to go to Ohio, and it's not like you worried about him going to somewhere else. So then you see what happens, but there has to be a fundamental shift here because you can't pay everyone that amount of money. It's just not doable. And if you look even at Oregon, like places like that are spending crazy money, they're really only doing it at the top of their roster. Yeah. But then they're just not rotating. They're not playing a bunch of depth. Indiana doesn't have depth to play, but they are going to.
Miami didn't rotate any D-line
at all.
No.
So I thought we might be able to wear them down in that
because they don't have any. They don't.
They were getting gas.
Well, they were, yeah.
They have their top of the line guys. They're paying those guys an inordinate amount of money, and it's nice to have depth like Zion Grady and guys you see developing in the program. But does it matter? Like a year from now, he could have whatever.
He might not be here.
He might not be here either. He might say, "Well, I just had a great second year at Ohio State, and now I'm going to go capitalize somewhere else." Like this system is untenable. Like it cannot continue to work this way. Ohio State, I applaud that they are seeing it, saying, "Hey, we want to still build a culture." But the culture now comes from the coaches. It's not going to come from players. So whatever Ryan Day and that staff are building, they're going to have to find a way to make sure that new guys every year are coming in and buying in. And that's what, to his credit, what Kurt Cignetti's done at Indiana, because they just replaced everyone from their 24 team with all brand new guys in 25, and now they're going to have to do that again in 26.
Just replace their quarterback.
But he believes firmly in his program, and now they've got proof in their pudding. So it's weird. It's a weird time, but I don't know there's a right or a wrong. Like Ohio State's just kind of stuck in this, like, well, this is how we want to do it, but I don't know that it matters because the players themselves don't care.
I was surprised when Bryce West and Aaron Scott, that are two Ohio guys that have been here that, maybe haven't played as much as they would have liked, but like you said, are both in line to probably play if they continue to improve.
Be starters. They're in line to be starters. Bryce West was in line to be the nickel slot. Now, that doesn't mean Leroy Roker or somebody couldn't pass him.
Yeah.
Aaron Scott is in a position to rotate with Jermaine Matthews and Devin Sanchez and be what Ohio State was in the
or be the full-time starter.
If you just go out and earn the job. Like, everyone likes you. Everyone knows how hard you work. Aaron's not a guy that
he's a good kid.
Had like a poor reputation around the program. Like, it's just very puzzling that everything you worked for your whole life, and like then you're like, oh, okay, well, I'm not interested anymore. Like, I just don't get it. But that's not really my place.
It's fun stuff, Jay-Z.
It gives Birm something to do here early January, starting the year off.
You just have to scrap it all. And it's like, what is it all for? Why have you done all of the work?
Well, then to get any 5-star guy to come to your university, you're going to have to give him that $1 million.
They have to start
as a freshman.
That's the only player. That's the only type of high school player you can pay that amount to anymore.
But even those guys, depending on the position, what's the tackle that went to Texas Tech? The
Felix Ojo.
Felix Ojo, who's from Dallas, Texas. It's down between like Ohio State, Texas. I forget who else. Maybe like
it was mostly Ohio State and Texas as the final two that were being discussed until the weekend leading up to the decision.
And then he goes to Texas Tech, and they reportedly give him like $5 million.
Here's the number we're going to get.
Yeah,
Texas Tech they just brought in that quarterback from where?
Oh,
Brendan Sorsby.
Brendan Sorsby. $5 million to Brendan Sorsby.
So you know what $5 million is on the rookie wage scale? Like what draft pick position that would put you at?
Like top 10.
11. Yeah, you're 11.
But it's also like there is a revenue cap. There is supposed to. How are they guaranteeing him that money unless it's coming from somewhere else that he has to then? It's like there's just no rules. And when you have Cody Campbell's of the world and Phil Knight's, you can do this stuff. Yeah. But even Cody Campbell's not paying player number 55 $1 million. They're buying 20 guys, and that's what they're going to do until they can build a program that Joey McGuire can actually recruit to. Like, this is how it's going to go. So, like, Ohio State's going to have to just decide, well, yeah, you've got guys like JJ who's going to make $5, $6, $7 million. But if that comes out of your $20 million revenue cap, then you're screwed. Yeah. So, like, there has to be someone else.
I don't know. I mean, who is that?
I tried winning the Powerball the other day. It
didn't
work.
Yeah.
It's just going to be until there are rules, until there are guidelines. Like this is a declining situation for the Ohio State roster over the next few years. Like there's no avoiding that. So it becomes incumbent on Ryan Day and his coaching staff and the decision to make sure you keep guys like Matt Patricia around and don't let the NFL woo him. Like,
I mean, don't let the NFL woo him. How do you prevent?
They're going to woo.
You just give him enough money to.
It starts with a contract offer, which I had thought that was already in the works for the last couple of months, but that still might not be enough.
The other thing you want are players too.
Well, you have to have players.
Yeah, that comes from a different bucket.
I get that, but that bucket doesn't seem to be big enough, Berm. So
that's what I'm saying.
How do you get yourself a bigger bucket?
Let's find out.
Like in Jaws, we're going to need a bigger
boat.
Bigger boat. We're going to need a bigger bucket.
All right. Well, it sounds like we've identified a number of problems, but we don't have a ton of solutions.
There's a rule in the don't bring me a problem without a solution. Yeah. So
money, please.
So yeah, there you go. Just more money and hope that Matt Patricia wants to stick around for the long haul, which I think he does.
I think Matt is happy here. I think his family likes it here. He enjoys working with Ryan. The guy's been in the NFL for a long time.
Yeah. There are pluses and minuses to life in the NFL. There's pluses and minuses to life in college football.
One of the minuses is to college football is the day you're done, you have to come back and start recruiting
and figure things out.
You get the lotion out and you have to start working on the portal guys.
You're not going to Cancun. You're just stuck.
And if your defense stinks, you get fired, not death threats.
Yeah.
I mean, they might throw some.
Not a lot of NFL teams are giving death threats out to fire the coordinators.
No. Maybe a handful of places.
I mean,
probably the Jets or something like that.
He might be up for some head jobs in the NFL.
I'm sure.
I don't think that he had a great experience with the fan base in Detroit.
I'm sure Tom Brady is making some calls. That's his guy. I mean,
there's a couple of people that I think might be interested in that. Now, I don't know if you can turn that down, but I think a coordinator job, it would be
Ohio State can reasonably match an opportunity.
Yeah. But it's not even that. It's just what do you want to do?
What do you want?
Like, you leave, you get done with the NFL, 5 days, go clear your head. Like, you lose a playoff game, you lose this. Unless you're, like, losing the Super Bowl and you got to go right away. Okay, go take this week, come back. We'll get together, we'll figure it out. Not, hey.
But this is a college football
all hands
problem.
on deck when we get it on Monday morning.
This is a college football problem.
That's my point. It's not Ohio State. It's
the Buckeyes just went crazy a month ago to sign a 28-person recruiting class, and none of those players are actually on the team. They could all leave today. They could all enter the portal. 7
or 8 players. I saw Chris Henry Jr. in there.
They could all enter the portal today.
Can you get in the portal if you've never
just signed?
Yes, you can. You can walk into the office and say, actually, I need more money. And Ohio State can say, sorry, no. Okay, well, I'm going to enter the portal. Like, they can do that. This is a stupid
I thought
system.
we at least got him for a year.
Nothing.
Depends on the contractual language. But
you can't win a lot of these contract fights because it's restricting
putting that stuff in
freedom. It's a horrible system. And until this all gets figured out, this is going to happen every year.
Gosh, I really thought
Thank you, Mark Emmert.
Thought we'd have optimistic Berm for more.
I'm optimistic because this is the sport has to implode before it can fix itself.
That's right.
He's optimistic about college football.
Tear it down and then we'll
blowing up.
Some people just want to watch the world
brick
burn.
by brick.
So we'll have a lot to discuss throughout this offseason. So just
they caught Maduro though. So
that's good, right? Yeah.
Hey, you know what? Maybe we need to go down there and
maybe find some Venezuelan oil.
Tap into some oil money.
Can we get him clemency if he just wants to be a Buckeye?
Would you like to support the Ohio State football program with your oil reserves?
I think that there's enough shady characters whose names are attached to the Ohio State football program that we.
I think he takes it to a new level.
That would be.
Yeah, the Wexner Maduro Cancer Center. I'm not sure that's going to work.
I have lost full control of the live show.
Not sure that's going to work.
So that tells me that it is time to wrap it up. Show number 1 of 2026. Thanks for joining us. Thank you to Tansky Power Sports.
The head coach of Ohio State, brought to you by Roberto Mandura.
The El Chapo defensive coordinator.
He's Bobby Carpenter. He's Jeremy Birmingham. That's Justin Zwick. Thanks to Nicole Cox and the team at Roosters on Olentangy River Road. Come check it out on Appetizer Thursday. You can get mini corn dogs, which are perfect if you have a wood allergy. We will talk to you next week. See ya.